Hello students. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the nervous system, particularly with respect to what is a neuron or nerve cell, what is the structure of a neuron, what are the types of neurons, sensory neurons, motor neurons, relay neurons. In today's lecture, we will be covering about the human nervous system, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So the human nervous system, it comprises of these two major parts, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord. They are very delicate and they are protected by membranes and the bony structures. That is the skeletal system. So the brain, it consists of billions of nerve cells and it is protected by the skull. It has three protective layers. Okay, it has the three protective layers, out of which are termed as the meninges. Okay, meninges. The fluid that is present in between these meninges is known as the cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid. So this fluid, it provides some kind of shock absorber or cushioning to the brain, okay, so that it doesn't get the physical impacts. The brain, as you all know, controls and coordinates all our conscious activities. Now let us look at the different parts of the brain. So broadly there are the three parts of the brain. One is the cerebrum, the other is the cerebellum, okay, and the medulla oblongata, okay. So the cerebrum is all this twisted kind of noodles that is present is the cerebrum. This part below region is known as the cerebellum, and this trunk kind of thing that is originating at the base is known as the medulla oblongata. Okay, so these are the three regions of the brain. The cerebrum is the largest. It looks like a crumpled napkin and it has the longitudinal fissures, like what you see, these things, these are fissures that divides the cerebellum into the left brain and the right hemisphere. So this is from the side view. When we look at the frontal view, as you all know that the brain is the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, and both of these coordinate to regulate the different activities and functions of the body. Now each hemisphere is further divided into the four lobes. Okay, so that is the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, these four lobes. One is the frontal lobe, okay, which controls specialized motor actions, okay, learning, speech, okay, learning, speech, all these activities are part of the frontal lobe. The parietal lobe, which controls the sensory functions, okay, sensory functions like language and touch, okay. The occipital lobe controls vision, okay, so this is for vision, color perception, okay. The temporal lobe The temporal lobe controls the hearing, okay, the hearing, learning and feelings, okay. The medulla oblongata, which is the lowermost part of the brain and connects the brain to the spinal cord, okay. The arrangement of the gray and white matter is reversed in the medulla oblongata and the spinal cord, with the white matter is outside and the gray matter inside, okay. So we will see the structure of the spinal cord where the gray matter is inside and white matter is in the outer side, okay. So some vital functions such as breathing, sleeping, coordination of the body movements such as walking, digestion, they are all regulated by the medulla oblongata, okay. So medulla oblongata, though it is acting as a connection between the brain and the spinal cord, by itself it is also regulating some functions, okay. Breathing, it is not a voluntary, okay, it is a involuntary. Sleeping, okay, coordination of the body movements like walking, digestion, okay, these are all under the control of the medulla oblongata. The cerebellum, okay, it is located on the back side of the brain. It coordinates with the skeletal muscles to produce the movements of the body, okay. So it is important in the locomotion, you can say, okay. Balance and body posture are also controlled by the cerebellum, okay. So people walking on the rope or walking in a balanced fashion, performing different kind of skills, okay, playing different instruments, all of these kind of ones are specialization of the cerebellum, okay. So the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. So this is about the different regions of the brain and what functions they are performing. Next we move on to the spinal cord, which is a long cylinder like structure that is arising from the medulla oblongata, and it is actually an extension of the medulla oblongata. It is made up of a thick bundle of the nervous tissue, okay, these all nerve cells, and it is protected by the vertebral column, okay. All these vertebrae, individual vertebrae starting from the cervix, thorax, okay, different regions of the vertebrae, they are all protecting this spinal cord, okay. And it is also covered by the meninges, okay. Meninges is nothing but the covering which is also there for the brain. The cerebrospinal fluid is also present between the meninges in the case of the spinal cord. What is the function of the spinal cord? It carries the information from the body parts to the brain, okay, and communicates the response of the brain back to the body parts. So when we see a cross section, transverse section of the spinal cord, it appears something close to a butterfly shape, okay, and the central part, you see, this is the butterfly shape, okay, the central part is a butterfly shape, and the central part, as you can see, is a gray in color, and it is made up of the cell body and dendrites of the neurons, okay. It is made up of the cell body and dendrites of the neurons. The gray matter is surrounded by this lighter area, this is all the light in color, which is called the white matter, okay. So this is called the gray matter, and the lighter region is known as the white matter, okay. So what is this white matter? It is made up of the axons of the neurons that are present in the spinal cord. So the gray matter consists of the cell body and dendrites, whereas the white matter consists of the axons of the neurons, okay. Now what are the functions of the spinal cord? The spinal cord and the brain together control and coordinate the functions of all other body parts. The spinal cord works as a telephone operator, telling the brain that the body is feeling and communicates the response of the brain to the body. Its major functions are the transmission of the messages from the brain to the body parts so that they can perform the functions, carries the information from the sensory receptors such as the skin, muscles and eyes to the brain, coordinate the reflex action, okay, that is the immediate response to the external stimuli. These actions are managed by the spinal cord alone and do not require the intervention of the brain. For example, if there is some hot plate or anything and you touch that one, when the sensory organ, it gets the sensation that it is very hot, that message is passed up to the spinal cord but doesn't go up to the brain. Just on reaching the spinal cord itself, there is the immediate message that we have to pull back the hand from that source. Okay, that is called reflex action. Okay, it doesn't involve the direct involvement of the brain. So these are the two important parts of the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. Next we look at the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. So this peripheral nervous system consists of a vast network of nerves that are present outside the brain and the spinal cord. There are the two types of nerves that are present in the PNS. They are the cranial and spinal nerves. Cranial and spinal nerves. Cranial and spinal nerves, they link the body organs with the brain and the spinal cord. The cranial nerves, they originate from the brain and connect the brain to the different parts of the head, neck and trunk. Okay. So what are the cranial nerves? They are originating from the brain. Okay. They are originating from the brain and connecting the brain to the different parts of the head, neck and trunk. How many are there? There are the 12 pairs. 12 pairs of cranial nerves, and they are mainly involved in sensations such as the smell, touch, hearing. They control the movement of the muscles and function of some of the glands. Okay. The spinal nerves, they arise from the spinal cord. There are the 31 pairs. Okay, and they connect the spinal cord with the various organs of the body. The autonomous nervous system, so central nervous system, peripheral nervous system and autonomous nervous system. Autonomous nervous system regulates the fundamental body functions such as breathing. It is autonomous, automatic. Blood flow, heartbeat, digestion, okay, without any conscious effort from the body. So the autonomic nervous system is part of the peripheral nervous system. As the autonomous nervous system performs the actions that are not under the control of our will, they are involuntary actions. What are they? Involuntary actions. Okay. So it is important to note that this autonomous nervous system is nothing but a part of the peripheral nervous system itself. Okay. Now it is interesting to note that the autonomous nervous system can be further divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so this is just for your extra information. Sympathetic, sympathetic, sympathetic nervous system, and parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions of the autonomous nervous system are antagonist to each other. That means they are opposite to each other. Okay, and they have opposing effects. So when we face a stressful situation, our sympathetic nervous system becomes active. Okay, when there is stress, it causes a series of changes in our body, preparing it to face the stress. These changes include the dilation of the pupils, increase in the blood pressure, release of adrenaline into the bloodstream. So it is also known as the fight flight response. Okay, fight or flight response. So whenever, for example, suddenly we see a snake, either we need to fight it or we need to run away from there. So this kind of response is coming under the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, so it will prepare the body with increased energy and sensory capacity, thus it is making the body ready to fight for a threat or to escape from it. After the stress situation is over, the parasympathetic nervous system takes the control. It helps the body function to return to its relaxed state. So our blood pressure, breathing become normal, the pupils will be constricted, the liver begins to store glucose for future use. So this is also referred to as a rest and digest response. Okay, rest and digest. So in this way, what happens is that these two are like the yin and yang, that is opposing actions, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic, you can S for sympathetic, S for stress. Okay, in this way these are all part of the autonomous nervous system, which indirectly is again part of the peripheral nervous system. Okay, because the central nervous system is like a control box, which is the central control box, which includes the brain and the spinal cord. So in our next video we will be covering about the reflex action. What is reflex action? Okay, how does it take place? What is the meaning of conditioned reflexes? Okay, and we will revise certain points and try to solve some questions related to this chapter on the nervous system. Thank you.